US Attorney General Pam Bondi getting harshly criticised in what is known as the MAGA-world after the Justice Department released a memo saying that the accused sex trafficker died by suicide in jail while awaiting trial, and that there is no so-called client list of notable figures involved with Epstein that have fueled right-wing conspiracy theories. Here's how both President Trump and Bondi answered a question about the DOJ memo during Tuesday's cabinet meeting. Have a listen.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that.
Well, Randy Kay has more on that Fox News interview from February, the DOJ memo, and the fallout that this is all causing in the MAGA world.
In February, Attorney General Pam Bondi was asked whether the Department of Justice would release accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein's so-called list of clients.
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that.
That was red meat for many on the far right, who since Epstein's death in his jail cell in 2019 have suggested that the government is hiding secrets related to him. One of the conspiracy theories? That Epstein kept a client list to use as blackmail against named powerful figures. Bondi did not discourage the conspiracies.
What you're going to see, hopefully tomorrow, is a lot of flight logs, a lot of names, a lot of information.
Bondi never delivered, except to offer a few social media influencers binders of documents in February this year, much of which had already been made public. She wasn't the only one throwing a bone to conspiracy-minded theorists in MAGA-world. Here's Dan Bongino on his podcast before he became Deputy FBI Director.
What the hell are they hiding with Jeffrey Epstein?
Bongino also raised doubts about Epstein's jail cell suicide.
The questions surrounding this alleged suicide are numerous.
Yeah.
And are worth entertaining and worth getting to the bottom of quickly.
The Department of Justice and the FBI have now put those questions to rest with an unsigned memo released this week that rules out any smoking gun. The memo confirms Epstein died by suicide, something Bongino and FBI Director Kash Patel were already starting to admit publicly.
You know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself.
The memo also says there is no incriminating client list, adding, there was also no credible evidence found that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions. The backlash in MAGA world has been swift. Conspiracy theorist Alex Jones broke down in tears as he accused the White House of being part of a cover-up. And far-right activist Laura Loomer is calling on Bondi to resign.
Well, that was Randy Kay reporting. Let's not forget Elon Musk in all of this, inserting himself into the middle of this controversy in the midst of his feud with the president. He accused Donald Trump without evidence of being in the Epstein files in a post that's since been deleted, also writing that it is the real reason they've not been made public. Have a nice day, DJT. Then just yesterday posting, how can people be expected to have faith in Trump if he won't release the Epstein files?
In a series of scathing posts on X, longtime Trump ally Laura Loomer calling for the president to fire Attorney General Pam Bondi. It comes after a memo released by the DOJ and the FBI this week confirmed Epstein died by suicide, and Bondi said that there is no evidence that Epstein kept a, quote, client list. CNN's Elena Treen is live from the White House. One of the issues here is that it's some of his cabinet members themselves are the ones that ginned up the story about Epstein before they were in office, and now they are facing backlash from some in the MAGA world. What are you learning?
That's right. And despite what you just heard from the president there are a lot of people in this White House and the broader Trump administration as well who are really frustrated with how not only the Justice Department, but specifically how Attorney General Pam Bondi has handled this. And, you know, the release of that memo on a Sunday heading into a busy week. Some people told me, one Trump advisor, I should say, that called this a political nightmare, this memo that they released, and argued why didn't they do this, you know, going into the holiday weekend rather than coming out of it to try and bury some of this news, or even better yet, they argued wait until after the midterms. One Trump administration official told me that Bondi had bungled the case from the start by over-promising some of these bombshell findings, only to do what they argued under-deliver in the end. And you're exactly right, Sarah, that it's not just a lot of people in the MAGA movement and the president's base who had been calling for more information on these files, asking for them to be unsealed by the judge in this case, asking for this Justice Department to open an investigation into any potential accomplices that Jeffrey Epstein may have had. There are people in this administration, people like Vice President J.D. Vance, the FBI Director Dan Bongino, for example, who was involved closely on this, who had prior to this administration argued there was more to this case and the Epstein files than maybe officials were letting on. And so that's why there's so much scrutiny on this. And adding to some of these problems, Sarah, is what we had heard from Pam Bondi herself back in February. She was asked during a Fox News interview, you know, what is the status of that so-called client list that Epstein may have had? And she argued it was sitting on her desk for review. Of course, the memo that came out by the Justice Department on Monday said there is no such client list and that one of those doesn't exist. Now, she did try and, you know, explain that interview during that cabinet meeting as well. I want you to take a listen to how she put it.
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, it's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that.
The explicit report reveals a political and public relations nightmare for Trump's administration, triggered by the DOJ memo confirming that Jeffrey Epstein died by suicide and that no client list exists. Devastating blow to the conspiracy pilot MAGA base. Attorney General Pam Bondi is now at the center of the storm, accused of misleading Trump supporters with false promises of bombshell revelations that never materialized. Bondi's February statement on Fox News claiming the files were on her desk was eagerly embraced by MAGA influencers and conspiracy theorists alike. Figures like Ted Bongino and Alex Jones pushed narratives that Epstein was murdered to silence secrets, implicating powerful elitist theories that have now imploded under official freedom. The memo debunks key MAGA talking points: no blackmail, shame, no list of elite clients, no murder cover-up. This has created a major backlash within Trump base. Far-right activist Laura Loomer is calling for Bondi's resignation. Megyn Kelly claims Bondi days are numbered. Even Elon Musk One, Trump's early publicly questioned why Trump wouldn't release the files of there was nothing to hide. This was the outrage is coming from inside the house. Many who fed the fire, J.D. Vance, Bondi, Bongino, are now prominent Trump officials. The administration cannot easily distance itself. It promised answers and delivered at the end. The broader takeaway is demeaning the MAGA movement obsessed with secrecy and scandal manufacturers a narrative it could not sustain. Bondi is now a liability Trump is explored to criticize from his own side. What was once a tool to own the lips has turned into a boomerang. And the key questions remain: if there was truly nothing to hide, why was the memo buried on a Sunday?